These are 9 breakfast foods that, believe it or not, I used to eat that I will never eat again, at least not knowingly. Now, here's the thing. I am not a fear-mongering type person. These foods are my opinion, foods that I won't eat anymore. But there's also going to be times where they sneak their way into my diet somehow, and I'm not going to lose it. I think life is about making conscious decisions and being aware, but also allowing yourself to have a little bit of slack now and then. Because I do eat fairly relaxed in the grand scheme of things. I enjoy fats, I enjoy carbs, I enjoy proteins, but then there's things I just won't eat. Now, when we get down to the breakfast foods I won't eat, there's the obvious ones that I don't even need to list. I don't eat sugary cereals, none of that typical stuff. I don't go out and eat croissants, I don't eat bear claws. I don't need to waste your time with that. But the first one I'm going to talk about is granola. For a long time, I thought granola was healthy. Possibly why I was close to 300 pounds at one point, maybe, because I thought that I was eating a light breakfast. Okay, let me be very clear here. I'm not a fan of refined carbs in any way, but I would almost rather have Frosted Flakes than have granola, because granola is just a calorie bomb, and it sneaks its way into people's life because it seems healthy. It's whole grain. It is literally about twice as calorically dense as regular sugar cereal. And it's basically sugar cereal with added oxidized oils. I'm not like this hardcore anti-seed oil guy. Like, I don't think they're great, but I think we can handle them in small amounts. But why would we willingly take in like basically a sugar cereal that has additional oils on top of it? And it's just so dense with calories that you can eat 2 cups of it and basically have your calories for the day. That's just gone. The second breakfast food that I won't eat anymore, that, believe it or not, I did used to eat, is regular or low-fat or even non-fat yogurt. I'm not talking about Greek yogurt. It goes hand in hand with the granola. So you look at regular yogurts and they are sugar bombs. Like, that is a lot of sugar in a regular, especially a fat-free yogurt where they're adding more sugar to compensate for the lack of texture and taste that comes from the fat. So I used to put granola in my yogurt. So then I would basically be taking this calorie bomb and have it swim in a syrup. I'm not trying to steer you away from foods or give you this weird like complex, but I would rather you make a better decision and say, hey, why don't I have some Greek yogurt? Or even a Faya Greek yogurt that has some honey. Like, at least keep the ingredients a little bit cleaner. But also just Greek yogurt with a little bit of stevia or a little bit of monk fruit tastes amazing, and you're gonna get double the protein. So that's a no-brainer. The next one that I will not eat anymore, and I have a solution for what you can eat instead, I don't touch Hote-Scrambled Eggs anymore. Now, let me be clear again, that if you're someone that's making a health change, I commend you for eating the Hote-Scrambled Eggs. So there's nuance here. Eat the Hote-Scrambled Eggs instead of the sugar cereal. Eat the Hote-Scrambled Eggs instead of the croissant. Bravo, seriously, good work. Let me take it a step further. I don't like the Hote-Scrambled Eggs because they are always mixing them with other things. Okay, there's usually a bunch of canola oil or soybean oil. You can taste the difference. They're oily. Okay, they usually add some heavy cream into the mix, which is fine, but they're also adding oils into it. In case you're catching my drift here, I don't like oxidized oils. I don't like oils, polyunsaturated fats that are sitting out, waiting to oxidize. The literature is debatable when it comes down to seed oils. The literature is not really debatable when it comes down to oxidized oils of any kind, seed oils or not. Oxidized oils are problematic, especially oxidized linoleic acid. I don't want the Hote-Scrambled Eggs. Instead, I get the hard-boiled eggs that are usually in a little bowl a little bit further away. They're almost always there, and pretty much every continental breakfast has hard-boiled eggs. What I don't want you to do is freak out about the quality of the egg. That comes later. If you really are concerned about it, deal with it later. Right now, make the steps towards making good decisions. Step 1, ditch the croissant and go for the hotel eggs. That's a great step. Step 2, moving on, ditch the hotel eggs and go for the hard-boiled eggs. You get what I'm saying here? The next step, then start being more conscious of the hard-boiled eggs. Maybe the next level up is you start bringing your own hard-boiled eggs, but you don't have to worry about that. The next one, and I don't want to catch flack for this because I got to be real. I am very aware of breakfast sausages. I used to eat these a lot. Even when I was doing low carb and keto a lot, I would live on like Jimmy Dean breakfast sausages. I lost a lot of weight when I was eating those. Now, I feel it when I eat those. My brain doesn't feel good. And I think I understand why. There's a lot of BHT, which is a preservative that is highly questionable. Is it proven in randomized control studies to be very dangerous? No. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't be on food labels anymore. That doesn't mean that it's something you want to consume all the time. Okay, BHT is something we should exercise caution with. And if it's something that I'm going to eat repeatedly, I'm not going to consume it. I avoid BHT. And believe it or not, call me crazy, I feel weird when I eat it. But it doesn't mean that you need to like completely throw it away, but be aware of it. The other thing that's in like the Jimmy Dean and a lot of these breakfast sausages that is highly debatable, but it's off the list for me, is MSG. I will not consume MSG. I have proven to myself time and time again that I don't feel good with MSG. My brain is wired up, I don't think straight, and I don't sleep for like 2 days. And it makes sense, it's monosodium glutamate. It's pure glutamate, which is basically increasing an excitatory effect in your brain. Our brain is always a delicate balance of glutamate and GABA. And if we're influenced too heavy on the glutamate side, we don't have the GABAergic influence that we need to have a calm, collected brain. I like to feel in control, I like to feel calm. MSG, the cards are just stacked against it for me. Better options, things like the Applegate Farms breakfast sausages, the Applegate Farms breakfast links. Okay, these are good. There are breakfast sausages that are out there, but most of the ones you're gonna find out there at like hotels and in the frozen section are probably ones that you shouldn't really be like going to town on, and I will personally never eat. Now, I just make my own breakfast sausages. I use a simple like butcher box grass-fed, grass-finished meat like ground beef or ground bison. And if you season it with some oregano and some Italian spices, it's got that breakfasty taste. Okay, I put a link down below for the ground beef, the ground bison that I use from Butcher Box. Very good stuff. Honestly, it is the best tasting ground beef and ground bison I've ever had in my entire life. The link down below shows you also my custom boxes that I use from Butcher Box. So they deliver the meat right to your doorstep. All grass-fed, grass-finished, really high quality beef. But I don't know what it is about it. It tastes so unbelievably good. All that link down below. Try just having ground beef for breakfast. Seriously, it's cheap and you can bring it with you. And it is a breakfast game changer, I promise you. Plus, they have pork sausage, they have chicken sausage, they have all these things that you can also try. The next one that I simply won't touch anymore, well, I take that back. It might find its way in if I can find like an unsweetened one, because I'm not hard opposed to it, but I don't eat instant oatmeal anymore. But I don't have a problem with oatmeal. Now, I love Paul Saladino. I consider him a friend. Okay, now, hopefully you take that with a grain of salt, because just because Paul and I agree on some things doesn't mean we agree on everything. Paul doesn't like his oats. I think oats are decent. I could find some reasons why they're bad, but the instant oats have a ton of sugar added to them. It's not the same as regular oats. Also, instant oats are typically pulverized more, and it's making them a little bit more of this high glycemic food. So if you are someone that is diabetic or pre-diabetic, insulin resistant, you may want to be cautious of that. And regular oatmeal might be slightly better, but make no mistake, it's probably a better option than most cereals. The next thing I won't eat anymore, and this is funny because you would probably not expect this to be something I used to eat, but remember I was pretty unhealthy and I was diabetic before, and I probably made myself that way by eating Pop-Tarts for breakfast. It goes without saying, but I have to mention it because it's one that I have to be true to myself with. I will never eat those things again. I will occasionally have one of those legendary protein pastries. Yes, they have sucralose in them. Yes, I occasionally do consume sucralose. I don't consume it on the regular, but I will allow myself to have a treat now and then. And I would rather have a legendary tasty pastry, not a plug for them, than a Pop-Tart. I still don't think they're the best thing in the world, just like I don't think a Quest bar is the best thing in the world, but it's better than a candy bar, if you get what I'm saying. Now, the next thing, I will not consume McDonald's hash browns anymore. Okay, I used to consume these things probably when I was very unhealthy, but let me explain something to you. What I do know is that in the United Kingdom and in some other countries in Europe, McDonald's French fries only have 4 ingredients: potatoes, oil, dextrose, and salt. Not amazing, but definitely not like the 14 potential ingredients. I say potential because it's up for debate how many there really are in the American French fries. Okay, we've got other things added into it. We've got anti-foaming agents, we've got preservatives, we have other garbage added into McDonald's French fries. And that's coming into the oil, right? That's the oil that is the problem. And a rancid, oxidized, partially hydrogenated, by the way, oil that is not the same in Europe than it is in the US. It's the same thing they fry the hash browns in. So just like I would not eat McDonald's French fries, I won't eat McDonald's hash browns. It's just not making it into my cut. Am I opposed to hash browns? No, actually, I think potatoes are okay. And I'll actually make a sweet potato hash brown every now and then, cook it up with a little bit of olive oil or a little bit of avocado oil and make my own hash brown with sweet potatoes and maybe a hybrid. Maybe I'll mix some sweet potatoes and regular potatoes into a hash together. And I feel like that's a pretty good alternative. And I can make a bunch of those and I can actually put them in a cooking sheet and then I can cut them up into my own individual hash browns if I wanted to have those. And it's very low fat, minimal calorie, and I'm getting decent carbs and resistant starch, and I'm getting fiber from the sweet potatoes. The next one is one that slips its way into a lot of breakfast foods and a lot of breakfast omelets and things like that. I will not eat processed cheese food product. What is processed cheese food product? Well, there's cheese, there's processed cheese, which could actually be things like brie. So I know it's processed, but it's not processed in the way that you think. Then there's processed cheese food product. And you have to look on the label for that. Or just on the front, it'll say processed cheese food product. That, by definition, needs to be less than 51% actual cheese. So it's gonna be a combination of vegetable oils, colorings, emulsifiers, things that are probably a little bit potentially nefarious, at the very least questionable. That being said, I just don't think processed cheese food product is that good. I think we should be opting for real cheese, real food. The ninth thing is one that is kind of weird. There's a lot of things at Starbucks I won't get. A lot of things. If I go to Starbucks, I get a green tea. I get a venti Emperor's Cloud Mist green tea. It's like literally the only thing I'll get there. But there are those matcha drinks. And even if you get those made without any sweetener added to it, just a word of caution, the matcha has sugar in it at Starbucks. I have known a lot of people that have thought they were making a good decision by getting the matcha at Starbucks. Just know it's full of sugar. It's kind of a sneaky one. So matcha is not sweet. If you get matcha from a store, you gotta sweeten it yourself. You put a little monk fruit or something. It's sweet at Starbucks because it has sugar. And it's not something that I would say is terrible. I think it's better than getting a big sweetened Frappuccino, for sure. So I don't want you to be afraid of it, but I do need to be very clear when I say, it's not something that's gonna make its way into my life. If I'm drinking green tea, I want something that's free of calories, free of sugar, and giving me all the benefit. If I wanted something that was gonna have sugar in it, I would save it for my cake or save it for something I actually want rather than sneaky calories sneaking in through a beverage. I'll see you tomorrow.